Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss the new stories we share. Let's begin. The cry was so faint I almost missed it. I had been hauling feed bags into the storage shed behind the old barn, my boots crunching against frozen gravel. December in Montana doesn't forgive anyone. The wind cuts through denim like it's made of paper. My hands were numb. My shoulders ached from 12 hours of work I didn't want to stop doing. Because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering. Then I heard it. A sound so small, so fragile, it could have been a wounded animal, a coyote pup maybe, or a barn cat that got itself trapped somewhere it shouldn't be, but something in my chest pulled tight. I set down the feed bag and stood still, breath fogging in front of my face, listening. There it was again, not an animal, a baby. I moved before I could process what I was doing. My legs carried me toward the dumpster near the property line, the one we used for broken equipment and construction waste. Nobody came out here. Nobody had any reason to. The cry grew louder as I got closer. My heart slammed against my ribs. Behind the dumpster, tucked into a cardboard box lined with a dirty blanket, was a baby. Couldn't have been more than a few weeks old. Tiny fists curled against the cold, face scrunched and red, lips trembling with each weak cry. I dropped to my knees. Hey now, I got you. I didn't know what else to say. My hands shook as I reached into the box and lifted the child against my chest. The baby weighed almost nothing, fragile as a promise, cold as the night that tried to swallow it. I pulled open my jacket and pressed the infant against my flannel shirt, covering it with as much warmth as I could offer. Who the hell leaves a baby out here? The question echoed into nothing. Then I saw it. A folded piece of paper tucked beneath the blanket. I grabbed it with one hand, still cradling the baby with the other. My fingers fumbled as I unfolded it. The handwriting was rushed, desperate, written by someone whose hand must have been shaking as badly as mine. I read the first line, and my whole world tilted. If you're reading this, it means I didn't come back. I'm sorry. I couldn't take care of her anymore. Her name is Lily. She deserves better than me. Better than what I became. Please, give her a chance I never had. I read it again, then I saw the name at the bottom. Tell my brother I'm sorry. Tell him I never stopped thinking about him. Tell him I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But tell him anyway. Tell Caleb I tried. Danny, the name hit me like a punch to the gut. 12 years. 12 years since I last saw my brother. 12 years since he disappeared into a world I couldn't follow him into. 12 years of silence, of unanswered letters, of wondering if he was alive or dead. Now I held his daughter in my arms, and somewhere out there, Danny was gone again. I carried Lily into the house, my boots leaving muddy prints across the hardwood floor I didn't care about cleaning. The fire in the wood stove had died down to embers, but the cabin still held enough warmth to feel like sanctuary. I laid her on the couch, still wrapped in my jacket, and knelt beside her. She had stopped crying. Her eyes, barely open, searched my face like she was trying to understand who I was, like she was deciding whether I could be trusted. I got you, I whispered again. You're safe now. But the words felt hollow because I wasn't sure I believed them myself. I read the note again, slower this time, letting each word sink into the places I had tried to keep locked. Danny, my little brother. The last time I saw him, we were standing in this very room. He was 22. I was 28. Our father had just died and the ranch was falling apart. And Danny wanted to sell. I refused. This place killed him, Danny had shouted. You want it to kill you too. This place is all we have left, I'd fired back. You want to throw that away for what? For nothing. He had looked at me with something I didn't recognize, not anger, something deeper, disappointment maybe, or grief I was too stubborn to see. I can't stay here, Caleb. I can't be who you want me to be. And then he left. I didn't chase him. I should have chased him. The years that followed taught me things I wish I had known then. That pride is a poison you swallow slowly. That holding on too tight means losing everything. That the silence between brothers can grow so loud it drowns out everything else. I had tried to find him. Sent letters to every address I could dig up, called old friends, hired a private investigator once, but the trail went cold somewhere in Oregon. Eventually, I stopped looking. Not because I stopped caring, because hoping hurt too much. Now, holding this note in my hands, I felt that old wound tear open again. Danny had a daughter. Danny was alive, and Danny was gone. I looked at Lily. She had fallen asleep, her tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. She looked peaceful, innocent, unaware of the chaos that surrounded her existence. Your daddy wrote this, I said softly, more to myself than to her. He said he tried. I want to believe that. I want to believe he didn't just give up. But the truth was, I didn't know what to believe anymore. All I knew was that this baby needed someone. And right now, that someone was me. I stood up and walked to the window. Outside, snow had started to fall, soft and silent, covering everything in white. Somewhere out there, my brother was lost, and I had to find him. The next 3 days blurred into a haze of sleepless nights and borrowed baby supplies. Martha, the woman who ran the general store in town, didn't ask questions when I walked in carrying an infant I couldn't explain. She just nodded, grabbed diapers and formula from the shelves, and pressed them into my hands. "You need anything else, you call me." Her kindness nearly broke me. I had spent so many years alone on this ranch, convincing myself I didn't need anyone, that isolation was strength, that walls kept you safe, but walls also keep you empty. Lily changed everything. She cried at night, and I walked her through the house, humming songs I didn't know I remembered. Songs my mother used to sing before she got sick, before everything fell apart the first time. I fed her in the early morning hours, watching the sun rise through the kitchen window, feeling something stir in my chest that I couldn't name. Purpose, maybe, or maybe just the terrifying weight of being needed. On the 4th day, I drove into town and visited the sheriff's office, not to report the baby. I couldn't do that, not yet, but to ask about Danny. Sheriff Reyes had known our family for decades. He looked at me with tired eyes and a coffee mug that said "World's Okayest Grandpa." "Danny Thompson," he repeated slowly. "Haven't heard that name in years. You sure he's back in the area?" "I'm not sure of anything, but I think he might be in trouble." Reyes leaned back in his chair. "What kind of trouble?" I hesitated. The note hadn't said much, but the handwriting, the desperation in the words, the fact that Danny had left his own child beside a dumpster in the middle of winter. Something was very wrong. "I don't know, but I need to find him before it's too late." Reyes promised to make some calls, check with shelters and hospitals, see if anyone matching Danny's description had passed through. I thanked him and left, but I didn't wait for answers. That night I drove 40 miles to the nearest city. I parked outside homeless shelters, walked through tent encampments, showed Danny's old photo to anyone who would look at it. Most people shook their heads, but one woman, huddled beneath a bridge with a shopping cart full of blankets, squinted at the picture and nodded. "Yeah, I seen him, skinny guy. Talked to himself sometimes. He was here maybe 2 weeks ago, then he just disappeared." My throat tightened. "Do you know where he went?" She shrugged. "People come and go, nobody stays long, but there's an old warehouse on 5th Street. Some folks sleep there when it gets cold. You might check there." I pressed a 20 into her hand and ran back to my truck, 5th Street. I was getting closer. The warehouse was a skeleton of rusted metal and shattered glass. Graffiti covered the walls. The smell of decay hung in the air like a warning. I stepped inside, flashlight cutting through the darkness. "Danny." My voice echoed off the walls. Nothing. I moved deeper into the building, past overturned shopping carts and makeshift bedding. Evidence of lives lived on the margins, lives the world had forgotten. Then I saw him. Huddled in the corner, wrapped in a torn sleeping bag, was a man I almost didn't recognize. Thin, hollow. His beard was unkempt, his clothes filthy, his hands trembling even in sleep. But I knew those hands. I had watched them learn to tie a lasso, watched them throw a football in the backyard, watched them wave goodbye through a rear-view mirror 12 years ago. "Danny," he stirred, his eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then widening with recognition and fear. "Caleb." His voice was a whisper, broken. I dropped to my knees beside him. "Yeah, it's me." He shrank back like I might hit him, like he expected punishment. "How did you find me?" "Your daughter," I said quietly. "You left her at the ranch. You left a note." The sound that escaped him wasn't quite a sob. It was something deeper, something that had been building for years and finally found a crack to slip through. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't take care of her anymore. I tried. I really tried. "What happened to you?" He looked away. "Everything, nothing. I made bad choices, got mixed up with the wrong people. Pills at first, then worse. I kept thinking I could climb out, but the hole just kept getting deeper. I didn't know what to say. Anger, grief, love, all of it tangled together in my chest until I couldn't separate one from the other. Why didn't you come to me?" "Because I was ashamed." His voice cracked. "Because I knew what you'd see when you looked at me, a failure, a disappointment, just like Dad always said I'd be. Dad was wrong about a lot of things." Danny finally met my eyes. "I'm sorry, Caleb, for leaving, for not calling, for everything." I reached out and gripped his shoulder. "I should have chased you. I should have fought harder to keep you close. That's on me too." We sat there in silence, two brothers, broken in different ways, but still brothers. "Lily needs you," I said finally. "She needs her father." Danny shook his head. "I can't. I'm not strong enough." "Then let me help you get strong. Come home. We'll figure it out together." He stared at me for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. The drive back to the ranch took 3 hours. Danny slept most of the way, his head resting against the window, his breath fogging the glass. I kept glancing at him, half afraid he would disappear again if I looked away too long. But he stayed. When we pulled up to the house, Martha was waiting on the porch, Lily in her arms. She had agreed to watch the baby while I searched. Now she stood there, backlit by the warm glow of the kitchen window, holding the one thing that had brought us all back together. Danny stepped out of the truck slowly. He looked at Lily, then at me, then back at his daughter. She's so small. She's perfect. Martha handed Lily to Danny. His hands shook as he cradled her, tears streaming down his face. I don't deserve this. Maybe not, I said gently. But she deserves a father who's willing to try, and you're here. That means something. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Danny went through withdrawal, and there were nights when I thought I might lose him all over again. But I stayed. We stayed, and slowly, day by day, something that had been shattered began to piece itself back together. He started eating regularly, gained weight, started helping with chores around the ranch. Some mornings I would find him sitting on the porch at sunrise, Lily asleep in his arms, staring out at the mountains like he was seeing them for the first time. I forgot how beautiful it is here, he said one morning. It's always been beautiful. We were just too busy fighting to notice. He laughed softly. It was the first time I had heard him laugh in 12 years. Spring came. The snow melted. The fields turned green again, and one evening as we sat on the porch together watching Lily crawl across a blanket spread on the grass, Danny turned to me. Thank you for not giving up on me. That's what family does. He shook his head. No, that's what good family does, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be that, for Lily and for you. I didn't say anything. I just nodded, because some things don't need words. Some things just need time and presence. And the quiet, stubborn belief that broken things can be made whole again. That night I watched Danny tuck Lily into the crib we had built together. He kissed her forehead and whispered something I couldn't hear, but I didn't need to hear it. I already knew. He was promising her a future. And this time he meant to keep it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and visit the channel for more real-life stories.